the wide receiver group much deeper than quarterback in free agency, and it has a superstar at the top in Tee Higgins here, Denny, who, I mean, this is someone who, if he gets to the open market, we're talking north of $30 million a year, and will have a lot of suitors as teams need number one wide receivers.
So I agree that he is the cream of the crop as far as free agency goes, receivers, whatever. I also have some stats here that kind of make me hesitant to say like he's a clear like alpha number one. So in games where Ja'Marr Chase has not played for the Bengals during Tee Higgins' career, Tee Higgins' targets, his receptions, his yardage, and his touchdowns are basically identical. And what that says to me is he has not been a guy who dominates targets, who like Chase does when Higgins is out. He does not do the same, not even close. So that's concerning.
Was Burrow the quarterback all those starts though?
No, it was also Browning.
So I mean, like that skews it somewhat.
Yeah, no, you're right about that. And then he was efficient this season. He was on a per route basis, he was about as efficient as Terry McLaurin, JSN, Malik Neighbors. But 2022 and 2023, those numbers dropped off a lot. So there was a lot of inconsistency. There were 3 soft muscle injuries over the past 2 seasons, along with 3 others, so 6 total injuries. I'm a little nervous about Tee Higgins as a free agent prospect, honestly. But wherever he goes, he's going to see a lot of targets, so that's all we care about.
He's the top free agent on the market. He's going to get a lot of money wherever he goes. And so his fantasy value maybe takes a hit. Like, again, when you don't have Ja'Marr Chase pulling coverage away and you don't have Joe Burrow throwing to you, no matter who it is, there's going to take a slight hit. But, like, to me, it would be very surprising if wherever Tee Higgins lands, that he's not a top 20 wide receiver next year in fantasy.
Right. The soft tissue injuries are going to be the biggest question.
It's a little,
He's a guy that misses time every single year.
Yes, it does seem like that. And, he was really good this year. I don't want to, take that away from him. But I don't know. There are just inconsistencies there that would make me, as a team, looking to sign him as a big splash free agent, it'd make me a little nervous, that's all.
Maybe the most interesting one, though, on the list, just because of how his season started and how it ended, Jay, is Chris Godwin.
Yeah.
I mean, we saw the best of Chris Godwin to start this year before the awful injury he suffered, and you just wonder, with Jalen McMillan kind of taking a bigger role with the Bucs, are they going to move towards that youth movement with him and keep Mike Evans, and Godwin actually gets to the market and is a gigantic name when healthy?
Yeah, I mean, it went a little bit under the radar, obviously, because it happened so long ago when he got hurt. But, I mean, he was looking like peak Cooper Kupp for stretches, the way that he was playing, the way that he was being utilized in Liam Cohen's offense. Obviously, he is older, and he's coming off now a serious injury, Denny. But is there a particular place you'd like to see Chris Godwin, a particular offense?
I mean, I wouldn't be shocked if he just stuck in Tampa where he seems to fit. But, outside of that, a team maybe like the Rams, if they kind of part ways with Cooper Kupp. I mean, it's funny you mentioned Kupp because I think that Godwin is like a souped-up version of the current Cooper Kupp, which, Cooper Kupp, I think, saw 7 targets over his final 3 games of the season. So Godwin would fit really well in that McVay system.
Yeah, it definitely feels like the Rams and Kupp, that their time is coming to an end for whatever reason. And so I feel like, to me, looking at it from a purely, football sense, going back to Tampa Bay where he has a great connection with Baker, where they're really building someone, and now that you've added Jalen McMillan, like the 3 of them, like all of a sudden, like, good luck defending that. So that's me football-wise, but money-wise, it does sort of feel like, because of the emergence of McMillan, that they can move on from Godwin. They got some production from Sterling Shepard. Is there a low-cost free agent that they could get and bring in there as well? So it'd be sort of interesting to see. I mean, I will tell you that this is my superpower, Denny. You're not used to this, but my Commanders do need a number 2 wide receiver, and they do have the 3rd most money under the cap. So I do wonder if one of these big-name guys could go to be opposite Terry McLaurin. I do think a lot of people in the NFL are going to say, like, I wouldn't mind going to play with Jaden Daniels.
Yeah, that was a very serious injury Godwin suffered last year, too, and I do think we kind of get ahead of ourselves and assuming, like a guy had 10 months to recover.
Like, he'll be the same right away.
That's not the way it works sometimes. Remember Tony Pollard? Tony Pollard took like 18 months to get over his broken leg. And so I think that Godwin should be okay for next season, but who knows what part of next season.
You could certainly see both him and the team, like, you know what, I'm going to do a 1-year prove-it deal.
Yeah.
I'm just going to, I'm not going to try to lock myself up because I know I'm elite when I'm 100% healthy. I'm not going to be 100% healthy. Let me do a 1-year sort of prove-it deal.
Loaded with incentives.
And then at the end of that, and so maybe comes back to the Buccaneers on a 1-year sort of, right.
Denny, out of this giant cluster of Hollywood Browns, Stephon Diggs, Amari Cooper, Keenan Allen, DeAndre Hopkins, a lot of names of the past.
Yeah.
Who is the most intriguing to you? And then even Darius Slayton there at 9, who has been held back by quarterback problems with the Giants, but has had moments.
I mean, first of all, I just want to say Amari Cooper in his final 3 or 4 games with the Bills looked not 1 step slower, but 5 steps slower than prime Amari Cooper. I don't know if he's hurt or what, but that was a bad showing for a guy who's going to be out there on the market. Hollywood Brown is somewhat interesting. He misses the whole year. He comes back in week 16 for Kansas City. Since his return, he's been targeted on 28% of his routes, which is really high, especially for a guy who hasn't really been out there much and missed almost all the season. But that tells me that this team, that the Chiefs see him as an integral part of the offense. And while he's not running a lot of routes, when he's out there, he is commanding them. He is getting open. So I think he does have a little intrigue. I wouldn't be shocked if he stayed in Kansas City, honestly, if they like him this much that they're targeting him at this high rate,
Yeah. Stephon Diggs to me is fascinating just because this is somebody who was elite for so long, had a bad second half of his year in Buffalo, goes to Houston, looks pretty good for the first half of the season, then gets injured. He's 31, but he's still Stephon Diggs, and I think there'll be a market for him. Deontay Johnson's also really interesting to me, just because this guy, because this is a guy that was one of the best wide receivers in football, and then
nobody wants him.
And then now nobody wants him. Something weird is going on there, but somebody will take a flyer on Deontay Johnson.
It's not good that he keeps getting kicked off of teams.
That
seems bad. But the metrics love Deontay Johnson.
Yeah.
Hey, it's Matthew Berry from NBCSports.com and RotoWorld.com, and I want to thank you so much for watching whatever it is you just watched, or if nothing else, being too lazy to click out of the autoplay after this video started, after whatever it is you actually wanted to watch finished. But now that you're here, I'd like to take a moment here to ask you respectfully now, okay? I'm asking you respectfully to subscribe to the NFL on NBC YouTube channel. You'll get the latest RotoWorld fantasy news headlines, all sorts of great shows, including my own Fantasy Football Happy Hour. So go subscribe now. Again, I'm asking respectfully.